Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Visibility Era the Pod. I'm here today with my husband. Hi, Eric.
Hello, hello.
He is a little, you're not shy.
No, I just don't do podcasts often.
Yeah, okay. He's actually a very good talker.
Gift of gab.
The gift of gab, we always joke. Lydia and Spencer just did an episode like this on their trip to, I almost said Barcelona. Where did they go to? Argentina. And we thought it would be really fun if we also did a little episode on our journey into parenthood. We are both obviously first-time parents. Right now, the little baby is asleep with our monitor on, so we'll see how far we get into this. But we wanted to just kind of share a couple things with everyone. So first, like a little bit more of our birth story, because we were both very involved. The surprises, the challenges, the blessings of having a new baby, and also like why we decided that we wanted to be parents. So buckle up. We're gonna have some fun here and hopefully like laugh too. Okay, where do you want to start?
Probably the birth story.
Probably the birth story. I
I
guess
think
that's
that would make the most sense. I feel like
I guess that's the beginning. I shared a little bit. Did I tell you I shared a little bit with Lydia on the podcast about it? But we didn't go into depth. Not completely. So we're gonna talk a little bit more about it. So, gosh, where do we begin?
probably where your water breaks, huh?
Okay,
Very beginning.
I guess where the water breaks.
Or the fact that it was 10 days early.
Yeah, so as a first-time parent, like they tell you expect to go 41, 42 weeks, you know? So we're thinking, okay, yeah. But at that point I was done. I was pretty tired. I felt like a balloon, not gonna lie.
The pregnancy was good for you for most of the duration. It was the last couple of weeks that uh,
Or
were a little
rough.
challenging.
Remember my debilitating sciatica episode
Yes.
where I literally couldn't walk? That was terrible. And then I went to the chiropractor and literally was could walk again. That was wild.
I'm not about to
Um,
help you into the car.
yeah, it was very humbling. I was crawling on the ground. My mother-in-law, Eric's mom, had to help me into the car. It was just very, yeah, very, very humbling as this whole experience has been. So my water breaks, I'm like 38 and 4, right? 38 and like 3 days at
Yeah.
this point. And I just like wasn't expecting it. I went to the bathroom and I heard a pop. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I think I have to tell Eric."
I was asleep.
What was your first impression when I run in and I'm like, "Eric, my water broke."
Confusion. I just woke up.
Like, did you think you were dreaming?
No. No. More reality hit real quick.
Because you sprung out of bed.
Yeah, because that was the beginning of changing our lives.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the pregnancy was the beginning of changing our lives,
Yeah.
but that was what made it real. You spend 9 months with this um, thought of having a baby, but it's 9 months. It's a long time. When the water breaks or contraction starts, like that baby you're going to meet in the next
Well, we knew it
24-ish
would be
hours.
24 hours. In the state of New Jersey, they have a, well, I don't even know if it's law or just like more their
Probably a lot.
guidelines that if your water breaks, you need to deliver within 24 hours. Um, and as you were just saying that, I think the fact that we didn't know the gender also made it, obviously we were very like excited about the pregnancy and we were really
It didn't make
involved
it
in
not.
learning.
It didn't make it not real. It just
It was
you
a little
didn't
more of,
attach a
yeah,
name to it. You
yeah.
because when you are going through pregnancy, you envision doing things with that baby. If you don't know the gender of the baby, not that it makes it hard to envision, it just changes what you are expecting, like
Yeah.
how you vision it.
And the fact that we thought it was a girl.
Yeah, sorry when you listen to this down the
We really,
road.
we really thought he was a girl, so that was another added thing. So my water breaks, I go in, I'm like, Eric, Eric, like my water broke and it's going everywhere all over the floor. First of all, didn't realize that would happen.
No,
It was interesting and
threw a towel
cool.
down, had to throw another towel down when I threw most of the towels in our house.
Yeah, yeah, this is true.
Which also not planning for the baby coming for another 10 days. There was already 2 loads of laundry to do for me the next day. So then it was a third load of laundry to do once we took the baby home.
That's so funny. So, uh, Eric does the laundry in our relationship.
I enjoy it.
He likes
It's
it.
therapy for me.
I am so
I'm
grateful.
weird.
I have started doing more. which is cool. So the water breaks and it's like, holy moly, holy bananas, this is happening. I wake Eric up. The water's going everywhere. The Is it water? It's not water. It's like your amniotic fluid. Yeah. It's going everywhere. I'm like, oh my God, this is happening. We were using midwives and we also had a doula during this time. So we did contact them and just said, hey, like the water broke. We did a lot of research on labor and birth. So there's kind of healthy waters breaking where it's clear, like there's no scent. There's some other characteristics of it being like okay. Basically no
Healthy.
infection. Yeah, healthy. So we told the midwife and everything was, hunky dory, all good there.
And we were told throughout meeting with the midwives that the enemy of a natural labor is being tired.
Yeah,
So we decided, as long as we could, we're going to go back to sleep for a little while, which is an extremely challenging thing when your mind is racing that you're going to meet your first child in the next 24 hours. But we got like another five,
yeah,
6 hours of
yeah, a
sleep.
couple hours. My contractions did start pretty like immediately after that. I had like, the app where I'm like timing things because I'm like, holy shit, like this is happening. And I was also extremely grateful that I did start having contractions because sometimes people's water breaks and they don't actually go into like labor. So then that's where you have like the induction and Pitocin, like all these other things, which we're not going to go like deeply into, but I really wanted to I was really excited to labor naturally and I did get that. So we go to sleep, we wake up the next morning. What was your thought like waking up?
I wonder when the baby's coming.
Yeah, I still had like a lot of adrenaline kind of running through my system. I don't think I slept that well, but we ate breakfast.
Yep, you cooked, you cleaned
Yeah. Oh, I did my hair. I was like, I'm gonna look
a few
good.
times.
I
Because
don't
then you
remember that.
you got into the shower to help with the contractions, and then had to do your hair again when you came out of the shower, and then you got into the shower again to help with contractions at some point. I think you did your hair 3 times.
That's so funny. Well, I thought to myself, okay, I have time. We didn't want to go to the birth center where we planned on delivering until like it was really like we needed to be there. We wanted to labor at home for as long as possible. So I'm like, I gotta kill some time. I'm gonna do my hair. We went for a walk. We did some curb walking,
Hmm.
walked with the dog. Oh, Finn. I think he knew that. I think he knew the baby was coming.
I don't think he knew how much it would change his life.
I I know yeah, he's adjusting. He's definitely adjusting. But we didn't end up going to the birth center until maybe 1 o'clock the next day, and my water had broke at 10 p.m. the night prior. So we knew we had about like 9 hours to make sure the baby comes. Within
Which
that,
seemed like a reasonable amount of time
yeah.
to do it in.
And I was having like contractions on the drive there. I was just like very internal, I would say.
Yeah. I wouldn't say they were overly painful. You were still
No.
almost talking through them a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. I had envisioned that like we'd have our doula come to the house and stuff, but
Which was funny. That was one of the questions that we asked all of the doulas that we interviewed because we wanted to make sure somebody would come to the house if we needed that assistance. But then that ended up not being remotely what we needed, and she met us at the birth center.
yeah, I wanted to be my own little bubble. You know, you are pregnant for like 9 months, and I knew that the goal was really like a natural, unmedicated, physiological birth. I knew that I needed to be like in the zone, and we've trained for many a distance race. Like how much of that is mental, would you say?
A distance race?
Yeah.
All of it. If you can run a 5K, you can run a distance race. It's just a question of how much pain you're willing to endure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I wanted to bring that philosophy in. I needed to be in my own little like cave, in my own little zone. I even feel like I wasn't that communicative with you during the
no,
time at home.
no.
I don't really remember it though. I feel like I did kind of like black out at some point. Not really sure. So we go to the birth center and she like checks my dilation. I hadn't had any cervical checks at that point at all throughout the pregnancy. And she was like, only 3 centimeters. I was like, ah. Well, she didn't say only. Actually, I don't know what she said. But in my
She
mind,
just
I'm
matter
like,
of fact said you were 3 centimeters.
oh, we got to get to 10 here, people. So, what were your thoughts when that happened?
Please don't send us home.
Yeah, yeah, we were already like committed at that point. We were there, but
Because
they
whether
were,
it's birth center or hospital, they tend to say if it's under a certain amount, they may send you home just because the labor could be long and they don't want you there for an extended period of time
Yeah.
if you don't need to be.
But luckily they just let us
There's nobody
go.
else there.
Yeah, the midwife
You were
stayed.
progressing. The contractions were a good distance apart, even
Yep.
though your dilation wasn't what,
Yep.
we thought it was.
Yeah, I think that was what was great. Everything was still kind of moving forward. So we didn't have to go home. The doula was there, the midwife was there, and we kind of just, yeah, worked through things. We're hearing him fuss a little bit, so we might need to like go and grab him and he'll just be in the rest of the podcast with us. But yeah, we just kind of what did we do during that time? Went for a walk. It was
Mhm.
really warm out that day.
Played music, you danced,
Danced. Yeah, I went in the
ordered
shower.
food.
We ordered food, which we're so glad we did. I'm always thinking about food. And like Eric, food is like sometimes your last thought.
Yeah, but then I'm really hungry after
I
that.
know, and I'm like, we're gonna get hangry, and I get hangry, so we knew we needed to eat. I was able to eat and drink throughout the entire labor because we were at a birth center. So with a birth center, like you don't have anesthesia right there. All right, we're gonna go bring him into the episode. Maybe put him in the carrier.
Help me out.
Here. All right, we'll continue on what we're saying.
Honestly, I don't remember.
Okay, I think we were at the birth center at this point and
Yes.
we ate. This is perfect for this video. Okay, so we're eating, we're drinking, we're moving our bodies, and it was pretty uneventful, honestly, until the end. I was like 10 centimeters dilated in this like tub, and I was struggling at that point.
Yeah.
I was like holding on to you for dear
I
life.
think, well, I was holding you up while you were asleep in the tub, so yes, for dear life. You could have drowned. Just kidding.
Seriously,
There were enough
seriously.
people there where you wouldn't have drowned, but
Yeah,
I was holding you up.
I was getting really tired at this point. So now we're like tw almost 20 hours in. We just needed a little breaky poo. So I was taking a little, this is the life. Okay, so now it's like 20 hours in. I am getting tired and we get in the tub and Eric's literally holding me up.
Yeah. You were sleeping in between contractions while I was holding you up in the tub.
I think what is under talked about, I don't think that's the right term, under discussed is how involved men can be in the labor process. Like, did you imagine how tired you would be?
No, that was exhausting. And pro tip for anybody thinking about it, hire a doula. Having an extra set of hands is fantastic.
Yeah.
Um,
And she really helped a lot with like the comfort measures.
right. And it's our first baby, so we don't know what to expect throughout the whole process. So between her and the midwives telling us, what is normal, this is how it's supposed to be, it provided a level of comfort that I think otherwise anybody who is nervous, like myself, I could be a nervous person, may have interpreted things differently.
Yeah, yeah.
Like through your contractions towards the end, it looked like you were in a lot of pain, but then you looked at the doula and the midwife and like this was normal for them.
They were so calm,
Yeah. They held the
so
space really
calm.
well.
And I'm so grateful for our doula. Shout out to Michelle. She took pictures and videos of the entire labor. And after he was born, you bet your bottom dollar I was going through and watching all those videos. Eric needed to like process what happened first.
Yeah. I don't think anybody prepares you for your wife screaming in pain inches from your face.
I thought I would be like, I'm like a yogi, right? A meditator. I thought
Pain,
I'd be so
also,
serene.
pain's not the right word.
Intensity and pressure is how I'd
Yeah.
actually describe it.
But from the outside perspective, the
Yes.
screams felt like
Yes.
you were hurt, and
Right.
uh, as a guy, there's nothing we can do to help you. So, you know,
But like be there and comfort me and like be my cheerleader, which is
yes,
exactly what you did.
yes, we can't take the pain away. We just have to go through it with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And we did a lot of preparation, just like birth courses, birth stories, labor prep, and I really was putting into my mind like this is not pain without a purpose. So I didn't even want to call it pain
Yeah,
because usually pain has like a bad outcome or you're injured. Like I wasn't injured. This was the most natural thing my body was doing and I wanted to look at it as like intensity and pressure and have we did a lot of prep. Like do you think that helped you as well?
yeah, for sure.
Because
And
we
again, having the doula come over 2 times prior to
yeah.
birth, she went over everything with us. The midwives were also amazing through the whole process. So shout out to everybody that was involved.
Yeah, we had a lot of support. So yeah, we're 20 hours in at this point. Not my water, my contractions were kind of slowing down in the tub for a little bit, which wasn't necessarily the greatest thing because now
Wasn't
we're get
ideal.
no, now we're getting up to the wire of this like 24-hour, time limit that we have. Although I wasn't lot in my logical mind, so that didn't matter to me.
I was in my logical mind, so I was like, we have to get this baby out before 24 hours because if you don't, it means you need to transfer to the hospital. And we would have, if we wanted to keep the midwives as our primary care, would have had to go to Hoboken, which was a 40-minute drive with you 10 centimeters dilated.
Yeah, that wasn't
And
going to be ideal.
no.
That was a no.
So the music was very serene. It was nice. And they said, look, you have 20 minutes before we have to start this transfer paperwork and, possibly go
Yeah,
to the
now
hospital.
we skipped some time.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, you don't have to be like there was hours between this of me being 10 centimeters dilated, pushing, and then them being like, hey, you need to get the baby out ASAP Rocky. And
Yeah.
that's when the fire.
And then Bridget was like, Eric, put on my dance music.
So for my 30th birthday, I did a silent disco and I had like, that was so fun.
That was a lot of
It
fun.
was so fun. And we have a great playlist on Spotify. And I was like, put it on. And then I was like, put on my Pitbull. Like, I need something not
Upbeat.
serene, no mantra music. And remember what song he was born to?
An EDM mix of Rocket Man.
I think that's so funny. So, spoiler alert, he came out within 24. Actually, it was like 24 hours and 35 minutes of labor.
But that
Uh,
last little bit, his head was showing.
yeah.
There was no way they could move you somewhere
Yeah.
else.
I was using TRX bands. I ended up having him on a bed in a lunge position. So I didn't actually have him in water. A lot of people are like, "Oh, did you have a water birth?" No, I was just using the water for like comfort measures. Although we were able to, if I had given birth to him, it would have been fine in the tub. Um, and remember when I looked down, I'm like, "It's a boy!" The whole time we thought it was a girl.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
And
a
I,
boy!
at that point, I was probably in shock, and I'm like, huh.
Yeah, you were in shock. Gosh, I can't believe it. And then we had a child all of a sudden. And
Hmm.
with the birth center, tell them how quickly like you go home,
He was born at 10:35. We were home by 5 a.m. the next day.
which was so wild to be. I do remember the ride home, like driving home in the car with this new human. And Eric and I like haven't been around that many babies.
Yeah, we're like, what do we do now?
Like, what?
How
Where's
do
the handbook? Where's like the YouTube videos telling me what to do? Uh, wow.
There are no instructions when you leave.
No, but you just
I mean,
figure it
they give
out.
you,
Yeah, there actually
there
are.
are a
There
lot of
are
instructions, actually.
instructions.
There's paperwork you get with instructions. It's very in depth.
But not like how to take care of them,
Yeah, yeah,
But we did do like infant CPR classes. We did kind of like how to change diapers.
yeah.
We did a lot of prep. We're like preppers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not
Makes
like
me feel
doomsday preppers, but yeah,
makes me feel more comfortable.
same, same. I'm like, even before vacations, I will prep. Like if we're traveling to a new country, I'm gonna know what we need to know as much as I can. Right,
Mhm.
buddy? And then we had a baby, and then we had a little boy named Aiden. Long story, but we ended up like spelling his name different
Not
ways.
we. I spelled his name wrong on the original birth certificate,
It's
so
fine.
it was easy to correct.
It's
New
fine.
Jersey gives you a grace period.
Yeah, it's fine. I had some complications after labor with my bladder, which we're not going to go into, but that was intense. We had a really intense first week of parenthood.
Yeah, I would argue that's the hardest week of my life, probably.
We prayed, we really found God,
Yeah,
like truthfully.
when there's
Um,
nobody that can solve your problems and
yeah,
you just want to find a solution,
yeah.
that's kind of what you go to.
Yeah. Oh, it was intense. I think that was harder than labor, honestly, because labor we knew what the end result was. When you have a health condition, you don't know what's happening, why it's happening.
Yeah, it was also having to learn how to take care of a newborn, and then you were kind of stuck in bed for most part. So try
Yeah.
to take care of you. Luckily, our both of our families were around enough to help out, which took a
Yeah, we
huge burden
had
off.
a really great support system. Like that is something I will never forget, and I want to be that person for anyone else who's going through something. We had people dropping off food, bringing sourdough, sending us DoorDash gift cards. Like we really were so supported. So supported. It would like it could make me cry now because people weren't being like, "Can I see the baby?" They were like, "How can we help you guys right now?" So we had, yeah, really great people in our corner, which made it all better. And I was breastfeeding during that time, which is basically all I was able to do. Eric was taking care of the baby like fully.
Trial by fire, baby.
Trial, but Eric and I always joke like I'm a person who will like jump into the fire and just like
And
figure
then,
things out.
or if you tell her your goals, she will also push you into the fire if the fire's there in a great way.
It's the best way we learn.
I've
So
I've grown a lot through that method.
yeah,
So,
yeah, this is true. Okay, let's answer some questions that people might have, and it's just good for us to reflect. So, what has been the greatest surprise since becoming a parent?
hmm, how much you could love something.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Care to elaborate?
Everybody tells you before you have a baby that, the love that you feel for it is unlike anything that you've ever experienced. And like, I love Bridget so much, but the love is totally different.
Mm,
It's a different feeling. And they're so cute.
they're so cute. So cute. I would say the greatest surprise, there's a couple. I am loving being a mom, and as someone who like fought this change in identity, like I was like really scared. That was like my biggest fear
Yeah,
was around identity, around like my body as well. I think my body looks, I feel great.
you look great.
Thanks. I feel great. So I would say, yeah, the surprise was that I could love this more than I ever thought I would, which is fantastic. Mm. What's been the greatest challenge?
Hmm. I'm going to say the lack of sleep. Um, Not that you don't sleep, you do. It's just broken up, but it's figuring out how to communicate when you're both tired, figuring out how to get things done that are necessities when you have significantly less time,
Mm.
figuring out how to adapt when you're exhausted.
Yeah.
It's all just a learning process.
Yeah. I think communication during when you're tired, like it is hard to communicate properly because you're just kind of like responsive, I would say. You don't have the ability to like pause and then respond nicely. So, yeah, I think that's been a challenge. And what else has been challenging? It's been challenging to get things done. Like I'm still technically working from home and it's
Yeah.
really hard. It is really, really hard.
Every time I watch the baby by myself, I'm like, I don't know how you get anything done around the house and get work done. I'm amazed every time,
Thank you. I basically like strap them to me and I'm like, hey, we're going.
like we're doing right now.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, coming along for the ride. If anyone's noticed most of my last like YouTube videos, he's been there with me. He's learning a lot about PR, everyone. He's gonna be a future publicist.
Marketing genius.
Marketing genius.
He's bred for this.
Yeah. Okay, why did we ultimately decide to have a child?
That's a tough one because we spent the beginning part of our relationship um, really enjoying it and building a life that we really wanted. Like every part of our life was intentional. So
Mm,
to make the decision to have a child and uh, essentially blow up everything that you thought you knew,
mm,
like every way, like, we traveled all the time. There was no thought to anything. It's like,
no.
oh,
Leaving the
we
house,
we
that's
want to
been
go to
huge.
Morristown for, dinner. Let's hop on a train. Leaves in
Hmm.
5 minutes. Get your stuff. We'll go. Um, Choosing to have a child was choosing to change your life, but it was the best choice ever. So, some people are worried about it taking away from,
Mm,
but it's done nothing but add to.
yeah, I would agree. And again, that was one of my biggest fears. Like Eric and I have such a beautiful relationship and we've been together for 8 years and it's just been the two of us and we don't like fight. Like we just really have a great relationship. We love each other. We're best friends.
We work hard at it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we work hard. I don't know. I think it comes
No, but like
naturally.
yeah, it does come naturally. Yeah, you're right.
What are we working on? We take care of ourselves. We're
We take
really
care of ourselves. We
intentional.
make sure we communicate. We make sure
Yeah.
each person has
Yeah.
time to do the things that make them happy.
Yes. We tell each other how much we appreciate and how grateful for we are for each other. And that's still every single morning. Like when I do my gratitude, I'm like, I'm so grateful for Eric. Like he is just the most incredible man. And when sometimes you leave me like little notes and say like just, I don't
You're
even
a
know what
good
you said
mom.
the other day. Or you took out the garbage this morning, the like baby's garbage, and
The diapers.
yeah, the diapers. I was like, God, I love him because it was getting so
Or all
full.
the times I fill your water.
Oh my gosh, breastfeeding thirst is unreal, unreal. Never experienced it. So yeah, I would say, yeah, we made a very conscious decision to completely like alter our lives, and it couldn't have worked out better. We are so happy. Like he's so blessed. We're so
Yeah.
blessed. He's so blessed. He's healthy.
We've been
We are
on
healthy.
we've been on we've been blessed to be on a lot of vacations and go see a lot of really amazing places. But no vacation I've been on, nothing I've seen, nothing I've experienced is better than when you walk him in the stroller and he looks up and he smiles at you. I trade all of those things just for that.
So sweet. Any parting words, anything else you'd share?
After all of this,
Yeah.
I know that men are the weaker sex. We couldn't go through what you guys go through. So anybody that thinks men are the stronger sex, I beg to differ. And it is the biggest blessing and the most fun you could ever do. If you're worried about it changing your life, it's only going to change it for the better.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh. Great words. So true. So, so true. And I think one reason I wanted to share this on the podcast is one thing that Lydia and I are very passionate about is that the things that we care about as, humans and business owners and entrepreneurs, and if you have a personal brand or even if you have a product brand, like your the things that you love can also be the things that shine forward if you want them to. Like I was happy and excited to share this story with everyone and I'm not trying to get publicity for this, but this gets to be part of just like my, I don't know. I don't know. It's not even my brand. I don't even care like that. It's just like, this
It's who
is
you
fun.
are.
Yeah, this is
It's
who
who
I
you are.
am. And I wanted to share it with other people. And I hope that this gives anyone listening like a little permission slip. You can share the things that you love too. And it doesn't mean you need to share your whole life because I actually don't want to share my whole life, but it might give you just a little
Just
like
a little nudge.
a little nudge, a little nudge. But thank you guys for listening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Talk to you next week on another episode of Visibility Era, the podcast.
Have a
Toodaloo.
fantastic week.
Toodaloo. Bye.